And you've emphasized philanthropy in your endeavors. What do you recommend to other small and family businesses in terms of how do you become involved in such positive projects?
I think, sorry, I disconnected it. Philanthropy. I have a different approach about philanthropy. The way I look at philanthropy is you have to, not everybody, but many people approach philanthropy is if I have $1 million, I'm going to give it to a certain organization, and this is my philanthropic mission. For me, the way I look at it, this is donation. You just made a donation. Thank you so much for a donation. It's fantastic. We really appreciate it. But for me, philanthropy is actually go to the ground level and understand what people are in need. And I think the best example I can give you is those suitcases that we did for the children. I volunteer with my children at, it's called Loving Hands. It's a women and children shelter. And we saw my daughter, I think she was 4 years old, and we saw a beautiful, young, gorgeous, blonde kid, blue eyes, beautiful, beautiful little angel. He came with this giant, hefty bag because his mom said, we have to leave the house immediately before daddy will kill us. And she just went like this, and she collected everything from the closet and put it in a large, hefty bag. And this 4-year-old is walking around this hefty bag. And my daughter is like, this is just horrible. What can we do for him? And I'm like, Mia, what do you think will make him happy? And she said, I think we should buy him a Batman bag. Let's buy him a nice Batman suitcase. So we went to Walmart and we saw the Batman suitcase. And then we talked to the manager of Walmart was there, surprisingly enough. And this is also a philanthropic, entrepreneurial adventure for her, because she just figured out that she could ask the Walmart guy, but she could buy a suitcase for $20, but she could also ask the Walmart manager to donate 100 suitcases, and then she can give it to the shelter, and all those children that pass through the shelter will have an Elsa bag or a princess bag or a Batman or Spider-Man or whatever you want. And she told the manager what happened, and immediately he gave her what she asked. So that was a teaching moment for my young child about business. You want something, you see something, target it, make it a mission for yourself to get it done, and you will get it done. And the satisfaction that a 4-year-old has to do something so great for the community, you can't translate it to anything. This is something remarkable.
How old are your daughters now?
So my daughters now are 17, 15, and 13. We started philanthropic mission, but we don't call it mission, we call it a mitzvah. Being Jewish, we call it a mitzvah. So I'm teaching my girls to be good people. I'm teaching them to listen to their environment. I'm teaching them small acts of kindness, to open the door if someone needs the door open for them, help a lady carry the bag to her second floor if she lives in the second floor. Just be aware of what's around you. If someone needs help, just help them. And you'll be surprised, people are just like this. They don't see what's going, completely ambivalent to the environment. They don't see what's going on around them. And I think that's our biggest disadvantage that we have as a community. We used to be a little village, but now we're so big and there are so many people around us. So that's what happens.
It's interesting you say that. And part of that is what I call good manners. And I grew up, my mother had poor balance. So she was naturally left-handed. And in Catholic school, they hit her left hand with a ruler to force her to write right-handed. This, of course, is in the 1930s. And the superstition was that left-handed people were at a disadvantage or bad people. So in any event, apparently, if you're forced to write with the wrong hand, it affects your balance. So I had very stable gait. I was my mom's escort. And so my mother had read Emily Post, which was a big, thick book on manners, including how you put silverware out and all that. So even though we grew up very poor, I was taught very basic manners. You always open the door for a woman. You always open the door for an elderly person. You always help people. I mean, it was not charity. It was part of what you did as a responsible person who was not disabled and not elderly or whatever. And it's interesting today because just a minor thing. I, like any, professional couple, like we go out to dinner as recently as last night, the night before with different couples. And it's amazing to me is how many people, men will jump in, men are usually the drivers, will jump in their car and their lady friend will be
My
fend for
husband
himself.
included. My husband
Okay.
including,
But
doctor.
it's just
Yes.
it's just fascinating because I can't conceptualize doing that because it was so ingrained in me to make sure that my mom was safe, was she was, you know, in the house, in the vehicle, whatever you're doing. So I think we could hopefully we're going to return to better manners. And
You
I
are the
think
last gentleman alive, doctor. You are the
well, I'm
last
hoping
one.
I'm arguing that we're going to bring it back. And I think that ties in with charity because some of what you mentioned is good manners as well as
It's being
active charity.
aware. It's just being aware, doctor. It's just being aware. It's just looking around you, see the need, identify the need. And that's what makes you a good businessman. That's what makes you a good philanthropist. That's what makes you a good person. Just look around you, see what people need, identify it, and move forward with it. This is the way I look at things.
Well, it sounds like a very healthy approach, and that sounds like you're doing a wonderful job of bringing your daughters around, and they're going to be an asset to the community for many decades to come.